Yo, it's your boy Crash Control here again, coming at you with a non-SH review of Master Chief and his Mjolnir Mark V armor by 1000 Toys. Now this Master Chief is from the very first Halo game, Halo Combat Evolved. To shed some light on Master Chief's background story, as a child, he was kidnapped by a secret organization called ONI, or otherwise known as Office of Naval Intelligence, to enroll him in a secret super soldier project, where they tested his intelligence, physical prowess, leadership skills, communication skills, and other essentials for battle needs. Over time, as the Master Chief grew, or John, he honed his skills to the best of his capability, and soon later became known as the Master Chief. Now, rolling on with the video, the initial thing we see is an action shot of Master Chief holding a pistol. Now, the outside layer of the box is nothing too much. You just get the action shot, but around the back, you get to see the title of the figure, Halo 1000 Toys Master Chief Mjolnir Mark V. Then with the second layer of the box, we get to have all the publishers and designers of the figure itself, product design, T-Rex, sculptor, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but Shusaku Ishida, painter Yoji Hayakawa, and the photographer Tumunuzawa, and the director by Yuta Tobari. Now, please forgive me if I butchered any of the names. And not to forget, the re-edit is by Junji Okubo. Then obviously we get Xbox and 343 Industries. On the side, we get Blue Team's logo, which is Master Chief's Spartan team. Then, up front, we get Master Chief himself. Master Chief comes with 4 extra pairs of hands, an energy sword, 2 magnums, and his iconic assault rifle. And now let's release Master Chief from his cryo chamber. So having Master Chief pulled out from his cryo sleep, his detail on his armor is actually very nice. From tip to toe, they did not miss a single detail. Even though this is the Master Chief from Halo Combat Evolved, the very first Halo game, I wish they added some sort of weathering effect, like maybe some chipping on his armor, some scuffs here and there, some scratches, or maybe some small battle damage spots on his armor. One paint detail or paint feature that they did with the figure is the belt. They made it really more prominent this time around, because in the video game, his belt isn't really seen. You just mainly see him from the bottom of the chest to the head. But other than that, it's not a big deal. I like that they did that. Gives him more, I guess, pop to him. And then too, he's always holding his assault rifle from his waist, covering his belt. But starting from his head, we get some nice sculpted indentions on the side of his helmet. Even on the visor itself, they gave it that little, I really don't know what to call it, but it's kind of like a little line, I guess. Then on the back of his head, you can kind of see it, but they gave him the little chip where he puts a Cortana in. Then his back is also well detailed. They did not skip out on that. His arms and shoulders are pretty well detailed as well. And the belt too is more prominent than in the video game. Legs are pretty nice. What would have been a really great feature is if they gave him some small LED lights on the legs where the little blue spots are at, and giving him like a light up feature, like on the lights on his legs, helmet, and even on the sides. With most figures, they usually tend to skip the detail underneath their feet. Like with most of my Godzilla figures, they do have some detail on there, but then they also leave like smooth areas underneath the foot. It's not a big deal, but it's really nice that with this figure they added some detail underneath the feet. Even though it is simple, it's just a nice thing to have. Next up on the figure is the joints. Starting off with his head, we can move left and right, up and down. Oddly enough, whenever you move his head up and down like as such, it kind of reminds me of a joystick from an Xbox controller. His arms can go at 360 degrees. His waist can move left and right, up and down. His legs can go this far up, knee bends. And what I like that they did is that with the knee pads can actually move up whenever you bend his knee. That way it shows that it's actually protecting and covering the knee itself. And then with the feet, you can move it a little bit to the left and right. And he also has a toe bend. A cool thing that they did with the figure to give him a bit more flexibility with his arms is with the shoulder pad. Whenever you move it up, the shoulder pad you can actually move a little bit higher. That way it won't scratch up against the chest piece of the armor. I just think that's a cool little feature that they did. Now, one of the bad things about this figure, I say, is with the hands or the wrists. They pop off way too easily, making him really hard to pose with his assault rifle, energy sword, and his pistols. To give you an example, here it is. All I gotta do is just bend the wrist one way, and it just pops right off. Now, before I move on to his accessories, one really amazing thing I have to point out about this figure is his ability to balance very well in almost any position you put him in. Starting off with his accessories, he comes with a pair of trigger hands or gun hands, two open or relaxed hands, two energy sword hands for when he uses the energy sword on his left or right hand, two karate chop or salute hands, two gun holsters, then the juicy part of the accessories are the two pistols, which you can use for him to either dual wield or use for single handed. His iconic assault rifle, which has a peg there on the side where you can attach it to his back. I really wish they added like the numbers right about here where the blue little spot is at to show him how much he has for ammunition. But it is what it is. And now for the weapon that can rival a lightsaber, the energy sword. They did an amazing job sculpting this weapon and adding the little blue electric lightning kind of inside of the sword itself because you know it's made out of plasma. And same thing with the handle itself. Very nice. Very nice indeed. The great thing about the accessories, the hands are very heavily detailed, which I really love. About the weapons, they're pretty well detailed. They could have added a little bit more detailed onto the assault rifle. And the feeling for the assault rifle, it's too lightweight. I feel like they should have added some sort of die cast, at least inside or just anywhere around the assault rifle to give it that extra oomph for the weapon. And the energy sword itself is actually really fine. I love what they did with it. So for the accessories, I give it like a 7 out of 10. Overall, this is a really good figure. The few downsides I would say is maybe they could have done a little bit more detail on the weapons, like the assault rifle. They could have added something to give it a bit more of a punch to it. Maybe add some weathering onto his armor. Give him a few frag grenades or plasma grenades as accessories. Or maybe even a Cortana chip to add to the back of his head. And possibly, just possibly, some LED lights inside the actual figure itself. Now, the biggest downside for this figure, in my own opinion, I would say is actually the price. For what it comes with and for what it has, I feel like this figure should have been like around at least 90 bucks. No more than 100. When the figure was actually more than 125. Now, adding the Master Chief to your shelf is an awesome addition to your collection. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please slash that like button and subscribe. Also, a quick side note for my channel. I do plan on making more figure reviews and unboxings, but I also plan on adding more gameplay videos like Call of Duty, Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, Halo the Master Chief Collection, Halo 5, Halo Wars, Ori, Minecraft, and much more other video games. The main one I do want to do on my channel when the video game does come out is Halo Infinite. Crash Control signing out.